Hey guys, Shadney back with another process video, and today's video I am showing you using one of those scrap kits that I built, the page kits that I built using my scraps like last week or 2 weeks ago. So that's what I'm using for this. I just pulled out this paper from the Hooray collection. It's like Crate Paper's version of cream. And sorry, it's really early. I mean, it's not really early, but it's 6:30 here. And if you hear it in the background every once in a while, there is somebody mowing, which is surprising at 6:30 in the morning. So if you hear that, I'm very sorry. Back to this. So on this background, I pulled out the Dina Wakley gloss spray in old olive. I don't remember what the color is called, but it's the olive green. And I just did some splatters along the background. And I went ahead and set that aside so that would dry, because those do take a little while to dry. I think it's just because they're gloss, they stay kind of sticky for a while, so you have to let them dry extra long if they're really thick. So now what I'm doing is I'm taking all of these scraps and I'm just trimming them down so that they're more square, if that makes sense. Any like little random bits I'm cutting off, or like the branding strips I'm cutting off, and like those triangle pieces, I just trimmed them down so that I don't know, maybe that they would seem more normal if they had like the squared edges, but then I didn't do it on both sides, so that doesn't matter, I guess. And then pieces like this that have punched out of them, and just cutting that part off and just squaring everything up. And if you don't have a little mini guillotine trimmer like this, they're really, really handy. This is a Stampin' Up one. You can't purchase it because it was a special if you signed up during Celebration to be a consultant and you got one of these in your kit. So they're not available for purchase, but just in general, everybody has them and they are amazing. I feel like they're just super handy and little for these little pieces. And they're self-sharpening, so that's always nice. And then I am going to go ahead and ink all the edges of all of these pieces before I get started, just to try to help the process go a little faster when I'm going and I'm fast forwarding, because this is boring. So now everything's inked and ready to go. And I'm just kind of spreading it out so I can see all of the scraps. And then I'm just going to start building from here. I went ahead and added fun foam to the back of my photo before I got started. Just completely off camera. I added a white border, which, if you don't know this, I do to like literally 99.999% of all of my layouts. I just think it adds a nice border. It kind of adds some distinction to the photo and separates it, gives it some some more focus. Sorry, my brain's like all over the place. I think it gives it a lot more focus. And so yeah, sorry. I'm like, I'm sorry. Crazy. So I'm just going to keep adding layers. I am offsetting each layer so that it just, it's not just square and square and square and square, and it makes it more interesting, but it also, I'm able to use these little weird pieces, because obviously not 99% of my scraps here are not going to fit behind my photo. That one teal one over there might be able to map my entire photo, but that is it. Like, none of the rest of them can. So we're just going to use them and piece them together and just make them look like they're matting everything. I'm also going to do a lot of like stretching scraps to fit across, to make them look like they're bigger than they really are, which I do often, but just in case you don't know what that is or haven't seen anyone else do it, it like basically where you just cut a piece of paper in half, like what I'm doing right here. I'm just going to cut this piece of paper in half and then add it to either side of the photo behind there. And since you can't see the top of either side, it makes it look like that scrap goes all the way across and is longer than it really is. So now that pink, whenever it's done, it'll look like it's like 4.5 or 5 inches wide when it's really just a little, maybe 1.25 inch strip that I've cut in half. Same thing with this piece right here that I'm adding. And this one I'm not stretching as much, but just enough. It's about 1/2 inch. And you can see where they should meet up. And you just make sure they line up all right in the back and you're good to go. So now I'm going to go ahead and add this pink one now that the top will be covered up. And not very much of it's showing, but you don't need a lot to show to get the idea of the layering behind there. And I did pull out a ruler because they are super far apart. It was hard to figure out to match them up. So, and I'm still just going to keep adding pieces. I am probably going to go ahead and fast forward this, or I mean like skip ahead, because this is rather boring. And honestly, I'm just doing the same thing over and over. Actually, real fast, I want to mention crepe paper, because I was thinking about it earlier. Crepe paper, how they have like their version of white, which is not really off-white, but not real, like not dark enough. It's like that grayish, just barely not white. I really, really wish they would do a whole paper pad of just their version of white with maybe like subtle texture. Because would that not be amazing? Because anytime I want to stamp something, I have to go find a piece of crepe paper that doesn't have a lot of print on it to stamp onto and then cut around it. And you're wasting that whole paper just trying to get that one tiny little piece. So I think we need crepe paper to do that. We need to make that, or they need to do a whole paper pad of just their off-white with just subtle textures, like where you just barely see it, but we can use it for stamping, we can use it for backgrounds or layering, anything like that. I think that would be amazing. So now that I'm done on my soapbox about that, I am adding a couple little fishtail banners down here. This one is a piece of vellum. No, the one that I did just before that one is a piece of vellum, and it's like a pink color and it's got a glittery print on it. And I'm sorry, my air conditioning just kicked on, so it's going to be a little bit louder. I'm just trying to hurry and get this done before everybody wakes up, because it also is kind of a longer video. And yeah, so I'm just trying to hurry. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward till you can see the end of the layering, because it's still just the same thing over and over, just adding strips and adhering down. Okay, so I'm back. There's the end of the layering. It's all, you can see all the little strips and pieces all the way around. And I went ahead and pulled out this stencil, and they're just some larger circles all butted up against each other. And I'm gonna pull out this coral colored paint, and it is one of those Target acrylic things, and just a sponge, and I'm gonna sponge some of these polka dots on. And then I am gonna kind of add my photo to make sure my photo lines up and I'm got enough of those polka dots to actually get the effect of it. And then I'm gonna go in and do some more across the bottom here. And I'm not being very technical with it. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just trying to keep it, I don't want those squared off edges. I just want to keep it kind of organic shaped. And I didn't like tape down the stencil or anything like that. I was just holding it in place. And then now I'm just trying to decide where exactly my photo is going to go and get that adhered down. And if you've not seen any of my other videos, I like a lot of adhesive. I don't want to chance it coming up. Sometimes we do get a lot of humidity in Oklahoma. It's not a ton, but especially if it just all of a sudden gets super humid, there's not a chance for everything to kind of adjust to it. So I just don't want to chance anything like that. I went ahead and pulled out, these are the Simple Stories foam thickers, and sorry, he's mowing like right outside my kitchen window now. So I went ahead and pulled out these foam thickers from Simple Stories, and they're the newer ones in the color collections. They're amazing. And my title is Ice Ice Baby. I like, if at all possible, or I can think of it, I like to do funny little puns and stuff like that for these layouts, especially for India, because when she gets older, everything just magically stopped. Everything's quiet. Okay, so whenever she gets older, it's going to be funny because she'll have no idea what that means. And it'll be a funny story, and then we'll have to play the song for her. So it'll be really interesting. I went ahead and pulled out these Heidi Swapp photo corners, which are my new favorite thing in the entire world. If she could just keep making photo corners forever, I would be so, so happy and thankful. And I pulled them in this like citron-y, yellowy kind of, not quite green, but kind of off yellow color. And it kind of ties in that paper that has the green stripes. In real life, that green paper with the paper with the green stripes is a little bit more yellow than it looks on here. On here, it looks more olive, but I think it's a nice kind of close enough to get away with. And then I also have the pretty little studio tile alphas that are in that exact color too. So I'm going to pull those in a minute, which I love. I love that color. So it's really nice that I could find them. Pretty little studio. These tile alphas are my new favorite thing. They are really thin. So if you don't like that, I know like Nicole Bingaman, she was talking about she likes to add her tile alphas to foam and like pop them up, and they are not going to be good for that. They are thin, but they lay down really well to your paper. And what I like to do with them is add them and then like use my sewing machine to stitch across the bottom edge of the letters, which will just add a little bit of interest, but it also helps secure them down really well. So if you like the thinner, they are really good. If you want to do like what she was saying and pop them up on foam, they are not going to be good for that. So anyways, still just adhering down all my alphas right here. I don't know what happened. I think my camera just zoomed in randomly, and I did not do that. So I don't know what that's about. I'm still just going to start adding my embellishments. And this is a label sticker from Freckled Fawn. And I'm just adding some little foam Stampin' Dimensionals behind there to pop it up so that whenever it points over the photo, it's more on the same height as the photo. This photo is of India's first snow cone. So, and I mean, she was still tiny. The snow cone was literally just ice. There was no flavor to it, but she was going to town. She loved it so much. And honestly, she still loves ice. Like, you could just give her ice cubes and she would be so happy. So, it was the perfect title for that because, you know, it is ice. So, and now I'm just going to go in and add Indy's first snow cone in these tile alphas. And I'm doing it on wax paper first, just to make sure it's going to line up correctly. I wanted to try to decide if I'm going to do how many lines I'm going to do of it. If I could get it all on one, which obviously I knew I couldn't get it all on one, or I needed 2 or 3 lines, and trying to keep everything left adjusted. But anyways, so I did it on wax paper first. It's a really great way to add your title and then be able to move around the page just to make sure you get it lined up how you want, especially if you like to kind of nestle your words together or your letters together and try to make them fit and look more purposeful, like on purpose. Intentional, that's the word, intentional. If you're trying to make them look more intentional, it's really nice because you can kind of play around with it before you adhere anything down, and then it does make it easier than having to rip everything up. I did leave a space between the I and the S in Indy. First, in the Indies, sorry, it was hard to say it, just that word, it sounded weird. Because I am going to go in with my pen and add the apostrophe, because that bothers me that there's no apostrophe there. And then this last one, I'm not going to do the left adjusted because it would butt up against that other little piece, and I just didn't like that. So I'm doing that, and then I'm going to fill in that little blank space with an embellishment, which are these wood veneer snowflakes, because when else can you use wood veneer snowflakes than at Christmas but snow cones? So it's perfect. And then I also pulled out these little asterisks wood veneer pieces that also kind of look like snowflakes as well. I'm going to start adding these little purple hearts, but then I realized I wanted to go ahead and add my tiny word stickers before anything, so that I knew where to put my embellishments. I didn't want it's always easier to go from larger embellishments down to smaller embellishments, because those sprinkly bits can go anywhere. And whenever, it's going to be a lot easier just to add the next size up and then go down. So I will go ahead and add these bits. I also pulled out this chipboard. I don't remember if it's on the pier. Is that the collection it's from? I can't remember. But it's an older crepe paper chipboard sheet. I believe I got it at Tuesday Morning several years ago. And then I'm adding that summer mode is from that chipboard sheet, and that little snow cone. I love the snow cone. I wish it was colors that coordinated better with this, but I will go ahead and add that. And then, if I remember correctly, I do add in some more black to kind of make it not feel so out of place right there. This whole layout, color-wise, just ends up kind of all over the place. But I think that's kind of my favorite layouts, are usually the ones that end up kind of crazy and all over the place. I think it adds a lot more interest. And if you don't like that, I mean, by all means, don't try to make yourself do it. Like, do you, and do whatever makes you happy. I just like a lot of color, and I like specific colors. So I like, even if these don't really look like they're supposed to go together, adding enough on the page makes it feel like it's there on purpose, if that makes sense. Like, it wasn't an accident. It's like this, that green stripe, I went ahead and pulled in those photo corners and the the tile alphas just to coordinate more and just make it a more purposeful choice to add that color into this layout. So now I'm just going around and adding glue to all these wood veneer pieces. And I'm sorry, I don't know what happened that it zoomed in at the end and I didn't even realize it till I'm doing the voiceover. I can't believe I missed it when I was editing. But I am just going to go ahead and add all these wood veneer pieces and sprinkle them around. And then I pull out, there's like some little plus signs on this chipboard. Oh, these are little arrows. They're in the gold, so it brings more of that gold from this snow cone into the layout. And there's a gold heart that I add to the top there that brings some more of that gold. And then this little black arrow, not arrow, plus sign, blah. And I kind of wanted to add it to the bottom there, but I needed to pull that black color up to the top of the page to make it more intentional. And just bring some more of that black to the layout. Oh, that wasn't a heart, that gold piece. It is a geotag. That's what it is. Sorry. I can't tell either, and I don't have the layout in front of me because I'm in the living room doing my voiceover to try to stay as far away from the sleeping family as possible. So now I'm going to go back and do all my sprinkly bits. I'm going to add these tiny purple hearts, which, there's no purple on this layout, but I really love the addition of like this light violet color or like a periwinkle kind of color lately. Like that's been my favorite addition. So even if it doesn't go, I love it. It's fine. You don't have to do that. It's just me. And then adding some extra adhesive behind those chipboard arrows just because they're thickers. And they're not thickers, they're American Crafts, and they're not going to stick. And then pulling out these sequins, and I'm going to use the Tombow Mono. If you haven't heard my spiel about Tombow Mono before, Tombow Mono dries still sticky like a glue dot and kind of rubbery. So they are perfect for sequins and acrylic pieces. Anything shiny that normal adhesive might pop off of normal adhesive once the adhesive's dry. Tombow Mono is the perfect option. I don't like it for normal, like gluing paper to paper, stuff like that. But for the shiny bits that would normally pop off of regular adhesive, it is amazing. So I'm just going to go around and add these guys around. And then I add, these are stone drops, and the Nuvo drops, and I thought these would be perfect for snow cones because the stone drops, when they dry, they have like kind of a rough, kind of white speckledy kind of look to them, and they'll look like little snow cones, so I was really excited about that. Anyways, that's about it. I think I go in and add just a little bit of journaling, or I might do that off camera, but that is pretty much it. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it this far, it's been a crazy voiceover. I am very sorry. Hopefully the next one will be not as all over the place or as loud. And I hope y'all have a wonderful day. And please like this video if you liked it, or leave me a comment. Actually, leave me a comment and let me know what you think about the whole spiel about the crepe paper white paper. Or if you have suggestions of paper that is similar to the crepe paper white paper, leave me those because I would love that. Anyways, sorry. If you want to see more crazy rambling videos like this, I'm sorry, that is what you're going to get on my channel. Please hit subscribe. And I hope you have a wonderful day and happy scrapping. Bye, guys.